This is the 5th annual Youth Awareness Conference organised by Howard Belafonte. So welcome to you if you haven't been before, and welcome to the returnees as well. So we do want you to feel relaxed, take in information. It's really important. Now, the reason we're here is to look at peaceful resolutions. We want to know, are we evolving towards that aim? So we want you to all listen attentively, please. Keep your mind open so that we can have a more peaceful community. So we can either argue or fight or agree. Externally, we can look different. Internally, we can think differently. However, what internal and external references do we share? It is important that we are on the same page and we are aligned. So anger's related to missing clarity in situations, and it's a primary emotion that is at work when there are conflicts.
Good morning and welcome to the University of Huddersfield. I'm very pleased to welcome everybody here today for the opening of the 5th annual Conflict Resolution Youth Awareness Conference, organised by Local Services to You. It highlights the important ongoing issue in our communities and what we're actually doing to tackle it. The issue, of course, is young people becoming involved in crime and serious violence. It's a major concern for many around Kirklees today, and you'll hear about gun and knife crime, conflicts, gangs, cyberbullying, as well as issues around attitude and respect. This conference is a fantastic opportunity for people to address every one of the aforementioned issues and look at the way forward collectively. And it's by pulling together across the whole of the communities that we can find solutions.
So someone who wants everyone in this room to enjoy their life and achieve it is Howard Belafonte. He's been active in the Kirklees community for well over 45 years. Now, he doesn't look older than 20, but honestly, he's been going at it for a long time. He's multi-talented. He's one of the co-founders of a sound system. I can't even pronounce it. I think it's Armageddon, and they performed in the 80s, so you can see how long ago that was. He was founder and CEO, or he is the founder and CEO of the annual Deaton Carnival since 2002, which is a model of good practice in the UK arts sector. Howard supports and steers young people in the community away from a life of gang activity and negative behaviour. He's been delivering this conflict resolution conference at the university for 5 years. It's bringing young people alongside professionals and statutory organisations to address the issues of youth crime. Howard is based at the Chestnut Centre in Deaton. You can always get his ear there. And he's a centre manager at the Northfield Hall Centre in Brackenhall. His continuing positive work in the community, he is a valuable role model for young people.
Welcome everybody to the Local Services to You Conflict Resolutions 5th Annual Youth Awareness Conference. So the aims of the conference is to keep in the public eye and in the media the effects of gun and knife crime, gangs, postcode wars, and the effects it has on our community and every community throughout the UK. These issues affect everybody. We've got a packed agenda to get through today. We've got keynote speakers from Leeds, Claude Hendrickson, from Sheffield, Monique Bates, and from Manchester, Matthew Norford. Too many times when incidents happen, it's highlighted at the time and then it gets forgotten about till the next incident. We need to keep this in the public profile, in the public spotlight.
Thank you all for coming today, and I'm really privileged to be here for the 2nd year running. I never thought for 1 second that this would be my life, or I'd be standing here in this moment talking to people about this. I had a whole life planned out for me and my children, but life had other plans. it has been 2 years, 5 months and 16 days exactly since Lamar was taken from me. So, my name is Monique, and I've come to share with you what Lamar meant to me and Lamar's legacy. So I was a teenage mum of 2 at the age of 18, and in my 20s I kind of accidentally fell into fostering, and I call them my bonus children, and I've had 6 altogether. And then when I was 28, I had a lovely little girl that came into my life called Laura, and I decided to take it a step further and I adopted Laura. And I have 3 amazing grandsons who are 13, 10 and 6. Fostering has been really hard and it's been really challenging, but I've been really blessed and privileged that today I've got my youngest bonus child who's wave, Clinton, here with me today. He's absolutely amazing young man, and he's just completed his masters, and I'm really, really proud. I had extra love to give, and so extending that to other children didn't seem like such a big challenge for me. So Lamar is and was, I'm still kind of getting used to the term what to use, because even down to the smallest thing in my life now, it's completely different. He was handsome, intelligent, and he loved his family with his whole heart. Lamar was very big on family, not just his blood relatives, but also the friends that he made his family. He had a passion for football, but one thing that always comes to mind is that Lamar was truly loyal, and he absolutely stood on business. He meant what he said. If he was for you, he was down for you, and his love knew no bounds. He loved with no ego and a pure love with no conditions. Anyone that was around him, he classed as family. Now, Lamar never hated the word goodbye. He never said goodbye. He always used to part saying F-O-N. Now, that means family or nothing. And since Lamar's gone, I've continued that with the amazing nephews and extended family I've gained through him. So on the 29th of March 2022 at 6:20, I was on the phone to Lamar, and we was making plans for a late Mother's Day meal because he'd wrote off his car, and he'd actually been in hospital the day of Mother's Day. It was a regular day for me, and I'd just come in from work. I'm a trauma and orthopaedic consultant now. I just qualified in February. And at 6:35, I got the phone call from my eldest son, Tyrese, that Lamar had been shot. Now, I relocated to Derby, so by the time I got to the hospital, Lamar was pronounced dead. So there comes confliction, because I'm a professional and I do this on a daily basis, but I'm also a mother. My first instinct was to go and hug my son. I wanted to see him, but the professional in me knew that at that moment in time my son became a crime scene, and in order to get a conviction, the toughest thing I had to do is take that step back and realise now we have to preserve evidence to move forward. The day Lamar left me and I realised that my baby had gone, it hit me, like it took my breath away. And I remember saying to my aunt, I can't breathe, I just can't breathe. It's like something left me that day. And as a mother, it's a pain in your heart that I can't explain. I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Lamar was the best son. He was so kind and loving and respectful, and so gentle. My baby would have been turning 22 that year, but now I'm forever suspended in time, and he's going to forever be my 21. He had no criminal record. He wasn't known to the police. He'd never been arrested. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And Lamar was not the intended target that day. My whole world was absolutely shattered because I didn't know where to move forward from here. Where do I go? Believe me when I tell you that it's been an adjustment and a profound soul shift as a mother to keep moving forward and having to bury my child. But through the pain, I'm able to stand here today. At 21, Lamar faced many adversities. He had a major motorcycle accident and he lost his taste and smell, and at the time it was like really upsetting for Lamar because he couldn't taste his food, and it left him with permanent nerve damage to his face. And at that same time my mum got sick, so I had Lamar in a coma, and I'm the eldest of 11 children, and I had my mum in hospital. And unfortunately my mum never came out of hospital. She died 6 weeks later of a brain tumour. And my eldest son didn't take that very well, and he ended up getting into trouble and he got incarcerated for 6 years. Then Lamar's friend had an accident, and then his friend Mo took his own life. This all happened in 3 years. And through this all, Lamar never once asked why, he never complained. Now, I'm a Muslim, and so was Lamar, so we're big on faith in my house. He faced every situation with a positive mindset, and funnily enough, he never let it change how he operated or navigated his way through life. He always came from a place of love and loyalty, and even now, he inspires me each and every day through the stories I hear and through the generations of people whose hearts he touched, young and old. One thing no one's going to tell, that nobody ever tells you when you're young, is that you can have all the talent and all the academic accreditation you have in the world. It'll only get you so far, believe me. It's your attitude, your character, and your mindset that'll take you further. Lamar was very vocal about his boundaries and his morals, but they were always in alignment with his actions, and I'm really proud of him for that. Life's tough, right? And I don't care how tough you are, it'll bring you to your knees if you let it. You have to play your position, and you're gonna have to play it well. You can't be disheartened when things go wrong, because life's not linear. Things do come up and things do happen. You will be winning sometimes, and sometimes you'll be losing. I'm gonna be real with you, suck it up, because when you get in that big wide world, no one cares. It's not about how hard you can hit in life. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward, because that there defines the extraordinary from the ordinary, and I think every single one of you in here today are going to be extraordinary young adults. If you don't build your own dreams, you're going to end up building the dreams of others. And I know you all have an idea maybe about what you want to do, you know, when you leave school, or what your plan is. But take a moment and think about the steps that you're going to get, how you're going to get there, because let me tell you something, failure to prepare, prepare to fail. A vision without a plan and action is just a dream, and nobody achieved anything by sleeping, so you're going to have to wake up. I want you to hustle hard and stay focused. Start by doing what's necessary, then I want you to do what's possible, and then you'll realise suddenly you're doing the impossible, and that's from a really, really good man called Francis Assisi, and that I take a lot like comfort from. It really is that simple. You have to just believe in you. Right, to the adults. There's a famous quote about Albert Einstein that said, we cannot solve our problems with the same mindset that's used to create them. And we've created this problem. Moving on from this conference, I'd like to see more change in the community. There is a big gap between our role models and our young youth accessing them. It needs to be more accessible for them. They need to be seeing positive black role models. They need to be seeing positive people in them high positions making a change, making a difference. And from my personal experience, I've been involved in a lot of gangs in Manchester in my younger times, and the majority, 9 times out of 10, the people that are putting these guns and knives and drugs on our streets, they don't come in hoodies, they come dressed in nice cars, they're well established in the community, and they're the ones that are ruining our kids and our streets. So that's the people that I want to speak to.
it's very important. It's one of the most important things really, to wake up knowing, even if you don't know what you're going to do that day, to at least formulate it as you're getting out of your bed, as you're awakening, rising. I think that's highly important. I would say to young people to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. That's a motto that I use every day. It's not my own, but it's something that I say to myself. And by that, you need to be consistent. You need to be determined, to persevere. You need to believe in yourself, even when other people don't, even when everybody doesn't, you have to believe.
Before I start, I just want to say a big thank you to Howard for giving me the opportunity to speak at the conference, and just to give a bit of guidance to the younger people. But yeah, my name is Bradley McInnes, as you heard, and today I'm going to give a little quick speech to the younger people in the crowd on the importance of knowing how to keep yourself safe on the streets, and just a bit about my personal experience. So growing up in Huddersfield, I was brought up in Deaton. I imagine a lot of people from Huddersfield will know where that is. I went to North Huddersfield Trust School, or Fartown High School for any of the older people. And a bit about school life. I joined the school in 2017, and when I started, I didn't know what to expect. I think going into school for many people can be a bit daunting because it's new surroundings, new environments, new people. It's time for you to grow up. Some people can react differently. You might join the school and fit in perfect from the get-go. Some people could take them a few years. For me, it was quite easy, but the problem was I was a very attention-seeking child. I wanted to be seen and heard. I wanted to stand out from the rest, but I did it the wrong way. I used to mess about quite a bit mischievous, which most kids are at that age, but didn't really start getting serious until maybe the 4th, 5th year. I'd be bunking off school to go and hang out on the streets, piss about. I'd do my own thing. I didn't want to be in school. I felt like nobody could tell me what to do or tell me how to move. I was stubborn, and it's true. I was stubborn, and at times I felt like school was not for me. I was coming in maybe, 2-3 hours late, smoking weed before I came in, and then getting into school and just slacking off. Sitting in the classroom, falling asleep. I had work to do, important work to do, and went out the window. I had no strive to learn because I was smoking so much weed at a young age, and it was all wrong. Just took a left turn from there. I started hanging around with the wrong crowd, getting involved in all sorts of badness, carrying knives, violence, theft, drug dealing, just trying to make a bit of money, and instead of getting up and trying to find a job because I was stubborn, I was lazy. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't think about it. I just thought it was cool. I thought I was trying to make a name for myself, but it turns out it was the wrong way of going about it. And it wasn't until I left school that I really got a grasp of life and a sense of purpose. I felt like if I really made the right choices to turn my life around and do something right in the world, I could make an actual life for myself, and not just for me, but for my family as well. I was 16 in the last year of school when I found out I was going to be a young father. It's not necessarily how I imagined my life to go at such a young age, but I will say it was an eye-opener, and it gave me a sense of purpose. I felt like I could do something now for the greater good, and that's what I'm going with now. No choice, no turning back. So I want to get into youth work and help other young people to get out of this antisocial behaviour and give them something to work hard for and give them a sense of meaning without having to go down the wrong routes and end up in a bad situation. That's where I want to make a difference, since I never had the guidance I needed. I want to be able to provide for people and give them a sense of something, like to make something for themselves, and have a person to be able to go to when they feel like they can't share the problems, whether it's on the roads or with family or even in school.
Stay in school, that's the best advice I can give you. It's something that you'll need. You don't want to end up in a situation where you've got no qualifications, no GCSEs, and there's a job that you want and you can't get it because you know the stuff, but you ain't got your maths and English or your science, so they're not going to employ you as that. They don't want someone that didn't want to listen in school because they're not going to listen in work.
I'd first like to say a big thank you to Monique, because I'm going to touch on a little later the impact that violence and gang violence has on families, friends, relations, cousins, sisters, brothers, community. So violence doesn't just impact you or the person you get involved with in violence, it has a massive impact on all of those around you. So a little bit about me. Is this my, right. Who am I? Because it's important, I think, that you know who I am. I was involved in a project where a group of unemployed people in Chapeltown many years ago built their own houses. Again, that was proving that young black men that society said were always going to be criminals, were going to end up in prison, were not going to contribute to society. I wanted to prove that they could contribute. Chapeltown 10 till 2 Club, for 12 years or more, I was involved with Chapeltown Young People's Club, so I worked with young people. And I had a priority about working with young people that were aged between 13 and 16. Why 13 and 16? Because I felt that when you're under 11, and if many of you remember being under 11, there were play schemes, there were little things that could happen for you within the community. But when you get to 13, 14, 15, there's not a lot that can happen for you. Engagement in communities. And you will have seen over the last 10, 12 years, a lot of services have been cut for young people. There's no youth clubs. There's no summer camps. There's nothing for you to do unless you want to do football or you want to do dance, but there's nothing else. So I set up an organization which was called Chapeltown Young People's Club, which looked at the issues that affect young people more. And I have a belief that the biggest problem in society is the 6 weeks holiday in the summer. 6 weeks holiday gives young people a lot of time, and if your parents don't have things for you to do, you usually find things to do that your parents may not like. So I set up a project that looked at finding things for young people to do during these summer holidays, so that by the time they got back to school in September, they had been engaged. One of my allies, and you may not know of this lady, a lady called Pat Regan, she set up an organization called Mothers Against Violence. She became an activist after her son Danny died in 2002. She was a long-time friend, and she died on the 1st of June 2008. How many of you were born before 2008? So she died fighting for young people before some of you were even born. And 16 years later, 2024, I stand here and listening to Monique this morning reminded me of Pat Regan and all that she stood for, and Mothers Against Violence. And again, I say to you, when you get involved in violence, it is not just about you. And I want that to resonate with you, because it has, you listen to Monique talk about all the impact it had on all of the other members of her family, the members of young people, people around her son. So it's not just about you. When you're out on that street, it is not just about you. Remember, most people that carry weapons because they're in fear, because they're scared. You will never hear of a person, many of us, the majority of us, never carry a weapon. Why is that? Why do we not carry weapons? Why do we not feel we need to carry weapons? Because we're not scared. Because there are not people out there that we think may want to attack us. They're in fear of other people that they may engage with that are carrying weapons as well. So it's not brave. You're not brave if you're carrying weapons. You're actually braver if you can walk around with no weapons, because you have a sense of understanding. Smart people don't end up in police cells. Smart people do not end up in prison. Smart people end up looking after their parents, you know, getting a job, having a future. But what I wanted to say about social media is, it's not all real. And you young people need to get the gist of this. Not everything you see on social media is real. And you're drifting into a world, a virtual world, which can lead you in wrong directions. And it's important, because we can't stop you. It's important that you start managing your own time and understand being on your phone and not having conversations with people is not to your advantage. It's not to your advantage. Back in the day, our parents' voices were the loudest voice. You know, I think today, for young people, the loudest voice is social media, which takes a lot of power away from parents. I would say, number one, parents need to get a greater understanding of social media. Parents need to ensure that their children get time away. Parents now need to do like our parents did in the past, take time out, even if it's around the dinner table, to have conversations with their young people. I think there's not enough conversations between parents and young people now. You know, once a week going for a 20-minute, half an hour walk around the park with your child. You only get a short period of time when your young people are under 18, even under 16. I think you have to grab as much of that time communicating with your child as possible.
The police want everybody to feel safe in the community. I want everyone in this room to feel safe, walking around the streets, walking around Huddersfield, Dewsbury, Kirklees, anywhere in West Yorkshire. Crime is committed by a very small number of people within the community. The majority of people that live around us are decent, law-abiding citizens, and unfortunately crime is committed by the small few that choose to inflict misery on those people. The dangers of knife and gun crime, I think, have been articulated far better than I could by the speakers this morning, and it really is impactful when I sit there and listen to some of the stories, because often in the police we see what happens at the front and we see what happens in the courts and in the cells, but we don't see what happens afterwards, unless you're in a neighbour policing team role where you're going to be speaking to the communities all the time. The damage carrying knives and guns has to families and people and communities is everlasting. It's impactful, it never goes away, and it really will shake communities and people to the core when it happens. I'm sad to say it does continue to happen. People still do carry knives and they carry guns, and for whatever their reasons for doing that, we have to stop it, and we have to stop it together. Carrying knives and guns has real consequences, and if you take nothing away from my particular input today, the 5 minutes I'm speaking to you, is that carrying has consequences. People carry knives and guns for all kinds of reasons, whatever it is to them, and I completely agree with Claudia in relation to why people do, because they're scared. For whatever reason, they're scared. But carrying has consequences, and if you've got something in your pocket, like a knife or a gun, you're going to use it. Whether you really intend to do or not, you're going to use it if you need to do, or you want to do. I don't think people wake up in the morning intending to hurt somebody like that, but unfortunately many people do. And they come involved for their own reasons, and lots of different stories as to why people come involved in knives and gun crime. Often exploited by people who are organised criminals or criminals who want to inflict misery on people but not carry out the dirty work themselves. And they will exploit people, and they'll exploit vulnerable people into committing crime on their behalf because they're too cowardly to do it themselves. And at the point that person does commit the crime, the young person or the adult that commits the crime and uses the knife or uses the gun, they will leave you hanging and they will not support you. They are not your friends, they are not looking after you, they will not be there, although you may think they are, when they're lavishing you with gifts and trying to make you feel like you're important. I don't think I could articulate some of the stories and the impacts any better than anyone else has this morning. What I would say from a police point of view to anybody in this room, but particularly you young people, you've got such an opportunity, your whole lives ahead of you. Please don't have it spoilt by carrying a knife or carrying a gun or carrying or taking or using or selling drugs to your mates, because it will destroy your life and it will destroy those around you as well. These conferences are really, really important to help us create a breadth of apprenticeship strategies. What we find is members of the community come to these conferences with a lot of ideas and innovations, and they understand the problems deep rooted in communities. And we want to take that information from them, work with local people in order to solve the problems, work with them in order to push back at criminals and organised criminals and those that use knives and guns in crime, and that helps us then keep communities safe.
Hello everyone, I go by the name of Darius McLeod. I'm 28 years of age and my artist name is Sir Grafter. I own a business and I'm the CEO of Graft Hard. Basically, I'm the barber. At the shop, basically, it's the headquarters. I own a clothing brand as well. So basically, there's clothing in there, there's barbering. There used to be a nail salon, but she left not long ago. But basically, there's very, very, very big plans. I'll be moving a music studio in the shop soon. So I'll be trying to engage the youth from schools, university, colleges and things like that to come in, and you can have sessions. I'll be teaching barbering and stuff like that as well, because basically the aim of the game is I want to become an academy. All my music as well is very relatable. Mostly you probably know it. It's on YouTube, it's on SoundCloud, it's on everywhere, Spotify, Sir Grafter, Graft Hard. I want to see everyone, yeah? I want to see everyone put your hands up for me. Everyone put your hands up for me. Let's see that you're engaging. Yeah. Alright. Trust the process, remember it's time, and keep that solid, like it's not buying, don't get caught with place on time, in mind my own, because I really get mining, more time outside, living is great, fast as dining, should on play, I need a reload, get me a crate, reeling them in like bait, they're saying it's look, but I took my chances, great, but yeah, I'm feeling lately. I can give them a message of basically hard work beats talent. When I mean hard work beats talent, it doesn't matter what type of profile you're going for, it don't matter what type of category you're trying to fall into. Go all out, 100%. Mindset means everything. There's a lot of distractions, there's a lot of things that are going on in the world right now to points where it is hard for youth, and it is getting harder, and especially the positions that we are getting put in. It's one of them things where you have to take the rough with the smooth, and when I say you have to take the rough with the smooth, there's a lot of opportunities out there for the youth. There's a lot of, engagement that people are trying to help. You just have to kind of see it from that perspective. A lot of people might take the wrong routes by mindset, by lifestyle, but end of the day, you have to kind of, put the nitty-gritty down, and, there's a lot of opportunities, so.
The first day of school at the end, they did basketball trials. I've never played basketball, but I thought, might as well. I scored one basket, and I'll never forget Mr. Williams, a teacher, and he's gone, "You've got potential, do you want to join the team?" And I'm like, yeah. Because it's the first time someone, apart from Gary, has been nice to me. So it took me on the bus, it took about 45 minutes, so I let the bus go past me. And I've took the school ball with me, not on purpose, but because I'm just so high, so if I've got to had it, so I'm bouncing it, and I'm thinking, maybe I was a bad kid. Maybe I was right to get battered like that by my mum. Maybe I should have been more like Gary, but she's going to be happy now because I'm doing basketball. It's something positive. So I got home, my kid, an hour and 15 minutes later, I've opened the door. She's on the house phone. So I back to me, I've gone, "Mum, the coach said I've got potential and I'm going to join the team." And then she just turned around and went, and I swear, as an 11-year-old kid, that cut me deep. So I slammed the door. I was bursting in tears. But by this time, Gary's 13, turning 14. He's got a big chin and he's a drug dealer. He's put his arm around. Like I said, me and Gary are like soulmates. He's gone, "What's up, bro?" I'm like, "Mum, look, I've got holes in my trainers on my first day of school. You had a pair of Nike Karachi. She just treats you different than me." And I proper pouring out my soul. And Gary's my mum's first boy, so they've got that bond, and Gary's trying to make excuses. Dad doesn't do nothing, but all I'm seeing is, but you get, JJ gets, but I don't get. So year 7 to year 8, I played for Manchester Boys, Manchester Giants, Northwest Boys. Started playing for England boys basketball team. I loved basketball, but what hurt me, what probably started me on the path of not going is, half time, you've got all the parents and the kids over there. I'm stood over here, and I'm trying to not cry because they're over there having water. And I'm looking, thinking, there's no mum, there's no uncle, there's no one representing me, and I'm the best in the country. So then at the end, they get in the cars, and the family's cars. I see you in school tomorrow. I'm like crying, no one's coming. I go home, our bus ride. I'm like, Mum, we won the competition or whatever it is, and she just go, yeah, and then carry on whatever she's doing. So I remember that day thinking, why am I trying to make you happy and you don't love me? I might as well make Gary happy. So I started not going to school, still playing basketball because they needed me, but I wasn't going to school. I was driving cars. I started smoking weed, selling heroin, crack cocaine, joined my brother's gang, had a bulletproof vest, used to carry guns. Got to 15, they kicked me out of school altogether. I had my first son at 15. So now I'm thinking I've got a son to feed, started selling drugs on a bigger scale. Just before I turned 16, I shot somebody in his leg. That's the first time I shot somebody from a gang in Moss Side. My England coach called me in and said, basically, when you turn 16, we've got a scholarship with £250,000 to America. When you turn 16, just pass your GCSEs, just English and maths. And C grades were a pass. I could have got C grades if I put my mind to it, but I couldn't be bothered because by this point I'm making X amount of money. I've got bracelets, I've got chains, I've got cars. I'm smoking weed, I'm drinking Hennessy, I'm listening to Tupac and watching Boys in the Hood and all these films, just like these young kids listening to drill music. It does play with your mind. So I'm like, gangsters don't go to college. So I was like, I think about it. 2 weeks later, police kicked my door in and threw me down on the ground. But what made me cry, the police had his foot on my mum's neck. And no matter how bad it is, that's still my mum. So obviously I'm trying to get off the ground, it's not happening. We both got locked up in the station all day. They let my mum go after probably 6 hours. I did about 10 hours. And then when I turned 16, they gave me 15 months in Stokeheath Young Offenders. So I did 9 months, I did basketball. When I got out, I was that good. They gave me trials to play for Manchester Giants. My thinking was, I'm a gangster. Why am I? And this is the truthful thinking. My mum and nana's always talked about slavery and they've been through racism. And any adults ever watched American History X? So when you see the guy put his mouth on the curb, me and my brother are like, yeah, I can believe that. Because when you look at the system from a stupid, drunk, high point of view, most of the prison officers are white, most probation's white, the system's mostly white. So I believed what my mum said. Not sitting back thinking, well, no white person's ever tried to shoot me. And ain't no white person ever tried to stab me. But I just believe my mum, so I'm like, man, the white people just want me to play basketball and not be rich from selling drugs. That's how mashed up I was thinking. So I didn't take the opportunity. I was out for 12 months, and in the 12 months, my uncle from London came down, and the gang we were warring with shot my uncle in his chest. Lucky he survived. We went back, got this little young kid, he was only 13, we knew him since he was 10. So all you young kids that want to chill with the elders on the estates, or the older ones that you know, and like someone said before, this guy, his name was Little D. I used to put a chain on his neck. I used to tell him, I gave him the name Little D, let him ride with me, let him smoke weed. He thought he was a big man, but now it's time to shoot somebody. So we drove around this estate called Quinney Crescent for like 10, 15 minutes. Seeing this 16-year-old kid, he seen my car, he turned his ram, we've chased him, he slipped on the ground, I've told Little D, and he's shaking, I said, shoot him. But obviously I'm swearing, I've gone, shoot him now. He shot the kid twice in the back. That kid made a scream I can't even duplicate. We've got off in the car, threw the gun, not threw the guns away, but got rid of him, got rid of the clothes. 2 weeks later, police raided my house, my mum's, and my son's mum's house. In my son's mum's house, they found bullets from a machine gun and money. In my mum's, they found heroin, crack cocaine, cannabis, jewellery, bulletproof vests. Let me ask you a question. Who thinks I let my son's mum go jail? Put your hand up. Of course I did. I'm a real criminal, I'm a real gangster. I don't care about... I had 5 different women doing the exact same thing she was doing. So as long as I had another 4 to do exactly what she was doing. But let me tell you my thinking, why I sent her to jail, and let me see who agrees with me. The first time I went to jail, remember I told you I had a kid. I only did 9 months. She spent £10,000 of my money, and then she slept with a gang member that I personally knew from a gang called Gooch. Now that could have caused a big, big war, only because I'm not stupid. Like, she consented to it, so why am I warring with this guy for? But I'm 17, I found that out. So who believes I was right to send her to jail for spending my money and for sleeping with someone behind my back? Put your hands up, be honest, don't look at anyone else, just let me see. All right, put your hands down. I understand from the guy's point of thinking, but when some young girls put your hands up, didn't you just hear I had 5 girls? So I was cheating on her from the get-go. So I taught her how to sell drugs. I taught her how to load up guns. I taught her how to move them around. So I basically ruined her life because I didn't want to go to jail for 7 years. She ended up getting 2 years. I got 4.5. So let me ask you this question again. Just the young girls up there, you put their hands up. Now you know what I did to this girl. Was I right to do that to her? Yeah, still yeah. So listen, I cheated on her. We both got together at 13. I cheated on her from the get-go. She was a nice girl getting A's and everything. I taught her how to sell drugs. I taught her where to hide them on herself. I ruined her life. I brought her into the gang life. So I went to jail and left her, and she found out I was cheating on her with 5 different girls. So to get me back, she took £10,000, which is drug money, which people die off taking my drugs, and she slept with somebody. Now, I don't look at it sleeping with someone. Now I'm older, I see it as, well, I left her in that position. She moved on with somebody. So let me ask you again, girls. Was I right to send this girl, the mother of my kid, to jail? Thank you very much. Well, let me just ask you this question. What do you think made me change my life? Any of you young people, what do you think made me change my life? Remember I told you before I'm successful. What do you think made me change? Oh, in my mind, I'm selling drugs to my kids. I never poured. I've always got what I never had. One of the adults guess, have a guess. No, not spiritual. Yeah, so long story short, Gary, my best friend, my soulmate, my thinking is this is my third sentence. I've done 2 years, 3 months behind the wall. I'm only going to do another 8 months on top of that, 9 months on top of that. So I'm going to do 3 years altogether. I went to an open prison. I went home for 5 days, and obviously you go back to prison. Spoke to my brother on the phone Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday morning, I'm having a cigarette. I'm outside. It's an open prison, so it's different from a closed prison. And an inmate comes running up to me and gone, have you heard what happened last night? And I'm like, nah, why? And I've got a mobile phone in there. It's gone, 2 of your brothers have been stabbed. So I'm like, nah, we shoot first. It's gone, nah, one of them's dead. So I've gone off the prison phone. I'm like, morning, mum. She's like, morning. I'm like, where are you? She's like, I'm going Liverpool with JJ. That's my other brother. So I'm like, this guy's talking crap. When I catch him later, I'm going to punch his face in. But then something just said, ask. So I've gone, mum, forget that. What have I just heard about my brother? And she told me like a year later, I was scared to tell you because I thought he was going to get off and go and commit murder. She just went, Gary's dead. I said, you what? She went, yeah, he's been stabbed in his heart last night. Your brother's dead. Your other brother's on life support. So it's all over the news. The officers told me to go to reception. They put some handcuffs on me and took me to a jail in called Marlins. The funeral, the law in this country is if your mum, dad, brother, sister, or your kids die, you're allowed to go to a funeral. They take murderers, they take paedophiles, rapists, and I'm going to say only, but on the scale of serious crimes, drug dealing is not a violent crime, so it's low. So 4 weeks go past, they tell me every day I'm going to the funeral, and the night before the funeral on a Thursday night, they said, go to reception and try your clothes on. So I'm walking there thinking I can dig my brother's grave, I can say a few words in the church, tell everyone what it means to me, give him a kiss on his cheek. When I got there and they said, Matthew, we can't let you go because we know you're a gang leader, there's going to be people with guns, and for the safety of the community and all that. I kid you not, kids, this is where all this led me to this point where up until here, I was going to get out and shoot people again with my brother. But now, God's seen it to take him from me because what we were about to do. So imagine you found out you cannot go to the funeral of your dead brother. I dropped to the floor. I was looking around the office. I wanted to find scissors. I swear, God's my witness, I would have just went like that. I would have killed myself. You might not know how I feel, but Gary was the only one that showed me love. I got no mum. You don't want to know about my dad, I'll tell you in a minute. So what they've took me to the Chapel of Rest in handcuffs with the prison officers, and I promise I wish I would have went, because my brother was probably about your complexion. When I looked in the casket, it was darker than the night sky. So I tried to touch his hand, and his hand was frozen stiff. And when I touched my brother's hand and it was stiff, I dropped to my knees, and that killed me. So they've took me back to jail. I had a panic attack, and then the next morning, up until this point, I'm ready to get my phone certain people from Leeds, from Sheffield, from S3, people that I know, people from Gucci and Manny, and give the address of the person I think killed my brother. So I got up in the morning and I've gone on the phone and I've gone, Mum, I'm so sorry I can't come to the funeral. So my mum's got Gary, JJ, Kyle and me. Gary's dead and us three are in jail, so there's none of her sons to carry that coffin with her. I never forget, she just went, it's all right, son, I've got to go now. They brought Gary's body to me, it's downstairs. And the first time in my life I heard my mum go, and she started crying, but she put the phone down. And this is where I became spiritual. I remember everyone putting around me like, you know, it's all right to cry. And I thought, I don't care if you think it's all right to cry. And I went in my room, I slammed my door. My cell, I slammed my door. And I remember dropping to my knees. And with everything I've got, I remember saying, God, please forgive my sins. Like, accept my soul. Anything you want me to go through, I'll do, I'm going to do. Because I did it my way. And look, my best friend's dead. And I got out of jail, had a few jobs, normal jobs. And then my sister, she was in a gang life. She set a 16-year-old kid to get killed. He got killed. She died 10 years later, kind of roughly the same way. And that's when I decided to turn my life around. And in 2016, I've got my own company.
The alternative is school, education, get an apprenticeship. When a young person's 16, and I tell this to all, whether boy or girl, when you leave 16 and get your GCSEs, no matter how good you did, you should be planning for when you're 17. And why I say that? Go on holiday, go on a lad's holiday, go Ibiza, go have a cocktail on the beach, go live. Life's bigger than your estate and dying for your estate. The message is education, be a good person, look after each other. Yeah, it seems as the nerdy thing to do, but guess what? I'm a nerd, I'm a civilian, and I love life. And one thing it brings to me, I can pick up the phone and dial 999 because I'm not seen as a snitch. I don't play by the gang rules. And you know what the biggest snitches are? Gangsters themselves. So if you want to go the good way, you can have a great life like yourself and like me. If you want to go the bad way, jail awaits you, injury, or death. There's only 3 options. The little money you get for a little bit, the guy at McDonald's over a lifetime makes more than most drug dealers.
We've heard quite a lot from people, we've heard a lot of stuff, and I'm so pleased to have heard youth work mentioned. And youth work is just one of the answers to the issues that you've heard discussed today. And with community youth work, we're all about giving young people places to go, someone to talk to, and things to do. It's as simple as that. Next slide. And the reason we want to do that is so that we can try and enable all young people, no matter what their backgrounds and their circumstances, to achieve their potential. And we have heard a lot about that today. But we're talking about the social, personal, educational and political development of young people. In the video that I was going to show, but we've cut it out because everyone, I'm sure, is really hungry and wants to crack on. But one of the big phrases that was in the video that I was going to show is about the joy for youth workers of seeing change in young people that you never thought possible. And the other quote, I just love this one, and it is about change, and it's the wonderful Maya Angelou. But if you don't like something, change it. And if you can't change it, change your attitude. And youth workers help young people to do that on a daily basis. So Kirklees Youth Alliance, hopefully you recognise some of the logos on the screen now. These are some of the community youth organisations that are running positive activities across Kirklees. And they're all members of Kirklees Youth Alliance. So Kirklees Youth Alliance is a partnership of youth organisations. There's a very small core support team, that's really me and one other person. We're based at Brian Jackson House in Huddersfield. We started 7 years ago when the council's youth service closed, and we're a registered charity. So we work with partners to set up new youth clubs, and we run youth activity surveys, and we're just starting to introduce a Young Leaders Award, and I'm doing that with Scarlett in the house, yeah. So we are starting a Young Leaders Award in Deaton and Bracknell next week, next Thursday. We have actually got a couple of places left, so if this morning has inspired any of you young people aged 13 to 18, please go on the website, go on Kirklees Youth Alliance's website and do me a contact through there, and you can join us next Thursday. So that's a big shout out. So our vision is for a vibrant community youth sector in Kirklees, and it's a massive vision, and we've not got any money, but there's the belief that we can do something positive together. And it's all about that positive impact.
So it's easy for us to stand here and say, we're doing this, we're doing that. But the question is, where's the proof? You're looking at him. That handsome man up there is a new young trustee at the Kirklees Youth Alliance, and I am Susan's boss, so keeping an eye on her. And I'll tell you a bit about myself. I come from a fairly educated family. From the very start of high school, I'm now in college by the way, from the very start of high school, I was on it, finding every single opportunity possible, developing every single skill possible I could. I was a nightmare. I was doing everything. But the question is, once high school ended, where did I go? What did I do? How can I apply these skills that I developed on in school? Leadership, technology, admin, public speaking and organisation. What can I do with these skills? So towards the end of school, I got an email to apply for a program called Kirklees Youth Alliance, the Young Ambassadors program. And through KYA and the Young Ambassadors program, I was able to apply those skills, the very definition of youth work.
First project I participated in was the Chill project. It was the Children's Lives in Changing Places, and this was with Huddersfield University researchers, and this went over to 2 main places. It was based in Deaton and in Bracknell, and it was organised by the Huddersfield Uni researchers, and it worked with children in between the ages of around 10 and 15 years of age. So it had lots and lots of discussions about what the young people really loved about where they lived. It had discussions on the challenges that they faced growing up in this area, growing up in Deaton, growing up in Bracknell, some of the challenges they faced. But one of the most important things about this project is the young people having these conversations on things that they want to change. There was very much in-depth conversations of, you know, we really love this about the area, we love having this here, we'd love to have more of this, we need more of this. And I felt like it was so important being a part of that project. And from that, I felt like we need to do something about it, absolutely. After what I'd been through with this close relative of mine, and just seeing how that got really bad very, very quickly over the span of just a couple of months. It got severe and really bad to the point where we felt like they wasn't even going to get out of it. So with that project, as you may see in this report, so this report, as you may have got, this has all the information from the project from start to finish. It shows the challenges, it also shows the amazing things that have happened in the area. But a page at the back also, it shows those changes, a very important, I believe, important page of that book where it discusses the changes that are needed, the changes that the young people have said. And one of the most important things that they've always said was they felt like they didn't have a voice. I think this project was very powerful in giving those young people that voice, to have that voice to voice their opinions in regards to the things that they want to change. So in my eyes, it helps the young people, as specifically where I'm from, a lot of the area is quite deprived, and there's a lot of fly tipping, there's lots of these challenges that go on in the area. And it's the young people that have said this, you know, it's not come from me. The young people have said, you know, these things like fly tipping, that's, you know, wrong, these things need cleaning up, you know, things are left abandoned. And it was just the idea of, for example, the mural has been something that's been so positive in the area, and using my artistic skills, I want to almost recreate and elevate something like a project that is going on for a long extended period of time, for where the young people can get involved, create art, have the art up in the area for them to feel proud of knowing I've created that. That's something I've contributed to the community. So that is a part of what I do.
Hi everybody, good afternoon. So my name is Scarlett. I work for LS2Y, and I'm currently helping run a youth club there, as you can see by all the amazing pictures on the board. So a little bit about me to start off. I'm 18 years old. I started to work with LS2Y when I left high school, just as a little side job, part-time, being a holiday club assistant. And within the nursery, I got offered the role of working in the youth club. So I started working there from very early days of working with the company, but it was just, I'm not going to lie, it was an easy, simple job to make easy money. I've absolutely loved working with children since a young age. I've wanted to do it. I want to be a midwife, but it's not all about cuddling babies, as I found out. I finished high school with most of my GCSEs and continued on to college, so now I've got my level 3 diploma in health and social care. When I first started working for youth, as I said, it was just nice to be around the older children, but it got more important to me. A couple of years ago, I lost one of my good friends to knife crime. He came up from London to live a better life and got into even more deeper issues over here, and he died. It was very hard. I still think about him all the time, and that was one of 2 reasons why the youth club came so important to me. I also was involved with a guy who was involved in the same life, and that almost led him to death last year. He got stabbed 9 times and put in a coma. And that for me, it was long distance as well, so he lived in Leeds, and that was for me was so hard, because when he was in that coma I couldn't just get up and go straight to him. And I realised in that moment that the things he was doing, this is what people are going out and doing to these young kids that I look after. And the estate that they live on these roads, is not the best estate. It's a deprived area. There's a lot of challenges going on there. So I knew that I had to step up and take charge of these kids. So now I go above and beyond for these children. So I advocate to the council for them, cleaning up the area, getting them to do all that. We are their safe space. So the people I work with, it's 2 other girls. We are their safe space. They know where we are every day because it's in the nursery, which is run during the day, and then the youth club's on the evening. So they know where we are. They'll knock on the door every second of every day, even just to tell me something stupid, what they had for dinner at school. They want to know. They want us to know. So some of the stuff we do in the community. So we are being fundraising for ourselves and for some charities. We didn't have funds up to recently, so everything had to come out of what we was doing. The children pay £1 every week to get a hot meal and activities and stuff like that. So we did a massive bake sale and raffling and stuff like that, and we managed to go on an end of year trip to Berlin. We do litter picking, so once every month we go around, gloves, bags, everything like that, picking up the park, because we wanted to teach the children, you are the ones making this mess. I know very well that it's them in the park, them on their estate, throwing the rubbish around, so your actions have consequences, and this is what we're teaching them. We also have a community food cupboard inside and in the garden of the nursery, and we make sure every single Wednesday evening it gets cleaned out, we check the dates and we stock it up. So recently, actually, this Wednesday just gone, we had a massive order of food come for the cupboard, so I don't unfortunately have the pictures, but they cleaned it out, had gloves on, scrubbing it, they stocked it all up and it looks absolutely amazing. We also do stuff like, the children I look after are very young, so it's 5+, so it's not the sort of youth that everyone else is talking about. And for us, we don't talk about knife crime, we don't teach them about the crime going on, we won't want to let them know because most of them don't know yet. Instead, we teach them about the stuff that they should know. Half of these children don't have the home life that we'd all want, so it's the fact of teaching them how to wash up, how to use a washing machine, the fact of giving back will come good for you, about karma and stuff like that. You know, you give back, the world will give back to you. Obviously our children leave us once they're 12, once they start high school, and I think what me and my staff members do, the impact that we put into their lives from such a young age will make sure that when they get to that higher level, when they get to high school, when they get to college, they already have the knowledge of not what not to do, but what to do instead. We don't teach them about the knife crime, we don't teach them about what goes on, we teach them the good stuff, we teach them how to wash up, how to clean. They come and do the homework with us, they come do like everything with us, like we teach them the life, we teach them about the food cupboard, and when you give to them, people give back. So when they go off to high school, they go off to college, university, whatever, they'll always think, oh, I remember when Scarlett told me this, I remember when Charlotte told me this, blah, blah, blah. They'll always know what we've said to them because we'll drill it and drill it and drill it. And they'll go home and I'm like, oh, they washed up today. They're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, they know how to wash up now. And it's them little steps that'll make a bigger impact when they're older, and we're the reason why they can say no.
I teach like life skills. I teach needing the skills that these young people need. Because for me, it's a mindset. Everything's a mindset. You know, like we're seeing a lot of youth violence now. That's a mindset, and that's being conditioned. Well, these young people have been conditioned with, like, they've been exposed to so many things, and that's what conditioning the mind to do these things. So you guys are gonna be watching like your Top Boys. Who's watched Top Boy in here? Yeah, you should be watching them things. You know what I'm saying? You've got drill music, you've got all of that. That's really, really like he's programming you guys to think these things are alright. He's programming you guys to think all the stabbings, the killings, the running man down and the get backs and this one. That's alright, that's not cool, you know. That's not cool. And the reason why I was saying it's a mindset is because at the end of the day, like, knives don't stab people, people stab people. Yeah? Does that make sense? Knives don't stab people, people stab people. So therefore, you must think it's okay to stab people, and what's that coming from? That's coming from the glamorization in the imagery and in the music. So for me, like I said, I use a lot of art, music, and literature to kind of plant seed the consciousness. And I'm not saying I know everything, you know, but what I am saying is that things that I do know plant seeds.
I feel like these young people lack inspiration, they lack that, them positive role models. Like I said, they're being exposed to so many things, and these things are influencing them not in the right way. So like we said, we've got the music. Music's one of the main languages of the soul. So therefore, if you're listening to a lot of derogative music, a lot of the times it's going to program to feel like that's okay to do. So a lot of these young people listen to drill music. They're thinking, all right, cool, like it's cool to stab because that's all they're hearing. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, they're seeing these drill rappers, for example, being rewarded. So therefore, they're thinking, all right, cool, I'm going to follow that suit. I remember there's a lot of like material things that are being put in the faces of these young people through the social media, through the imagery. Again, imagery is another thing, programs their subconscious mind, so therefore you're thinking these things are just a status symbol. Young people are thinking about status symbols, they don't know how to love themselves. So for me, it's about helping them find their purpose and find that love for themselves so they can be themselves. Best thing you can do is be the best version of yourself.
This is it. The awakening is in full swing. All expired thoughts, behaviours and energies rise to the surface. As I rise to the surface, I'm sailing across the waters I was once close to drowning in. I'm sailing in the waters I was once close to drowning in. These waters kept me alive whilst I was losing myself in them. These waters kept me alive whilst I thought I was losing myself in them. Arms flailing, mind failing, breath taking. I had to lose myself to find myself, but I didn't know that then. I do now. In order to discover oneself in the sky, one must swim before they can fly. Dive deep into the depths of their inner creator. Let go of the internal self-hater.
Now the conference is finished. People are networking, people are speaking to each other, people are linking up with each other. So hopefully, we can move forward from this, with the tackling the issues, and people realise the importance of, not getting complacent with it.
I'm part of the new team under Shape Up, which is an investment that the police and other partner agencies are contributing to the area to kind of change how we police an area. And I think events like this are really important, hearing from young people, but also some amazing key speakers that have experienced a lot of the kind of troubles that young people are dealing with, but have worked positively and found diversion and opportunities, and they're championing these voices of people in these communities.
What I take away from this conference is that we need to keep talking. We need to capture the voice of young people. We need to hear what do they think? What difference is this making? How do we measure how successful these events are? This is the 5th annual anniversary of the Youth Awareness Conference, but actually, is it having the impact that we want it to have? I come every year, I enjoy the speakers, I enjoy the performances and everything that happens, the networking opportunities afterwards. Great, that's great for me. But actually, are young people getting what we want them to get from it? I'm looking in the audience, I look at young people, I look at how engaged they are with the speakers, and they are engaged, but it'd be interesting to get some feedback from them.
I think that Howard has put together an event that touches not just your mind, it touches your heart, and it kind of makes you understand that things can change, because there's a perception out there that once things go wrong, that's it. But you see people like Monique, you see people like Matthew, you see people doing things that don't seem humanly possible, and the support's there. If anyone's looking for support for younger people, if you know yourself you need help, ask for it and go for it.
It was just absolutely fantastic. I feel really inspired meeting a number of the people in there, and actually just what they're giving back to their communities. Some of them have gone through so much in their own lives, and to have gone through that and come out the other side and think, actually, I'm going to do more for my local community. I mean, just absolutely amazing and inspiring, and we now need to make sure we're on their side.
I found it really beneficial for my learning, because I learned a lot about the consequences of your actions and more about knife crime around people's areas. I'll talk about how it was beneficial for me and about how your actions have consequences, whether good or bad. In this situation, it was quite bad today, but because of it, people are making good decisions and rebuilding their lives again. And giving us the advice now, go into the future, so we help other generations.
Highlights, obviously because I'm from a school background, Jason Roberts, in terms of what he's done with his wall art and the messages that he's giving young people sometimes they get into bad situations and they need to regulate their emotions. The fact that they can see some positivity on the walls from peers of students or even teachers that found it difficult at the moments at times, can definitely be something that we can take away from conferences today. People's stories in terms of the wrong place, wrong time, wrong choices, the impacts not only just on that individual, whether they lost their life or went to jail, it's the absolute families. You don't really think about the whole logistics of it when young people do commit crimes, but in terms of the impact on families, it really does have a domino effect onto people's lives, for the worse and for the better sometimes.